Okay, so we are now going to proceed to talk about very briefly about Eriugena. He was you can look on the internet for his biography. Uh, the main thing is about his philosophy here. So he was an Irish, probably a monk, and he worked though in the Carolingian court, not of Charlemagne himself, but his grandson Charles the Bold, and he dedicated his work, the Purificium, to Wulfat, who was the abbot of Saint Medard and was the tutor himself of Charles the Bold. Charles the Bold was the grandson of Charlemagne, so he is an intellectual in the context of the so-called Carolingian Renaissance, and clearly one of the most interesting philosophers of the medieval age. His great work was the Purificium, and is structured in a dialogue, as many of the Plato himself and the Neoplatonists will do, had done in the past, between the nutritor, who's the master, and the alumnus, who's the disciple. So the alumnus is going to be the one asking the hard questions, and sometimes also exposing some of the argumentations, and the master is going to be mainly the one who responds to all those hard-hitted questions. So the Purificium is a very wide, is a very big work structured in 5 books. And in book 1, he's going to be given the main structure of what he's going to be talking about after. And the main themes will be the 5 modes of being and non-being. So he's going to make a structure of Natura, of nature, based on the main division between being and non-being. So non-being is going to be included in the structure of nature, which is interesting. So the 4 divisions of nature then are going to be the combination of these 2 aspects of nature. The first one is going to be the uncreated creating. Second one will be the created creating, the created uncreating, and lastly, fourth will be the uncreated uncreating. Okay, so there's going to be an identification of what types of beings belong to each of the categories, including the uncreated, uncreated, which will be one of the aspects of God himself. So the first division is going to talk about God as uncreated creator. And then we are going to go into the second book, which is going to be talking about the second division, the created creating. And he's going to talk about the created creator. So it's the same thing, right? So the primordial causes as source of diversity in the visible world belong to this group. They are created and they are creating at the same time. Also in this field, he's going to be talking about divine ignorance. We're going to see what this actually means. It doesn't mean that you should be willfully ignorant at all. In fact, the opposite is true. And the other aspect of this second division is going to be the original creation of human beings. This, I find the anthropology of Eriugena incredibly interesting and very deep, and actually very much connected to divine nature as well. So it gives human nature a very high status within his system, excluding, of course, the fall. Okay, so the book number 3 talks about the third division of nature, which talks about the created effects. So he makes a commentary on the 6 days of creation in Genesis, and in particular in book number 3, it ends on day number 5. So book number 4 is going to be an interpretation, a further interpretation of the 6th day of creation, and a treatise, how do you pronounce this? Treatise on human nature. Very important. And book number 5 finally is going to talk about the 4th division of God as uncreated, uncreating. And this is in the context of the return of all created things into their source, and the nature of the theophanies that await when God shall be all in all. So there is a little, although he is of course going to talk about the Trinity, there is a very Neoplatonic scheme of things going on here, in the sense that starts from the one, the uncreated, creating and finishing in the return with the all and the return of all to the all, okay? And the connection within the Bible, the exegesis that he's going to be doing in the Bible, connects both beginning and end. So that is the Genesis and Revelation. So we're gonna start this fascinating journey through this work and this philosopher in the next video.